My friend worked at the high rollers table and some guy lost $28 million on a single hand. Yeah, you read that right. He lost another million on the next hand before he decided to call it a day. Welcome to Reality Exposed. Here are more crazy casino dealers and gambler stories. Story 1. Toss-up between coming into work to see some of the same people still playing that were there when I left the previous night. 2. Watching other dealers take their paycheck and sit down at a table and lose it all after their shift ended. Story 2. Oh man, this reminds me of something. A bunch of years back, my girlfriend calls and suggests we drive down to Foxwoods in CT for the night. We called and booked a room, and both agreed to just take $500 each to gamble. Both of us could afford it and that money was no big deal to us. Fast forward a few hours. We're sitting at a blackjack table and we're doing okay. We both still have most of our money and the free drinks are flowing. So then some guy in a ratty t-shirt sits down at our table and his wife, or girlfriend I don't know, stands a couple feet behind him. He starts playing aggressively and is losing fast. When he starts losing, his significant other starts losing it. Tears start flowing and I hear her saying softly, "That's our rent," and "How are we gonna feed our kid?" and crap like that. Well, as you can guess, he blows through almost all of his money and she's outright bawling her eyes out. One of the pit bosses has noticed this scene and comes over and tells the guy he can't play any longer, which just pisses the dude off. He says he needs to win his money back and the casino is screwing him and all this other stupid crap. While this is going on, the action at the table continues. My girlfriend always played that stupid, crazy sevens, or whatever it was called, side bet. She would throw down a buck on that and had hit it a couple times in the past for $50 or so. No big deal. I didn't play it, but if she wanted to, whatever. Next hand. 777 suited. 5 freaking grand on that side bet. A small cheer erupts and everyone's smiling except the couple talking to the pit boss a few feet away. A few minutes later we decide to call it a night while we're ahead and get up to leave to go grab some food. As we're about to go into the restaurant, the same knucklehead from earlier at the blackjack table cuts us off and basically starts begging us for money so he can pay his rent and buy food for his kid. He legitimately asks us for $500 of the money my girlfriend won and says we can afford it. My girlfriend at one point is about to hand the guy some cash, but I told her not to and we walked away. We had a great time that night, but I'll never forget how sad it was watching that dude gamble away their money while his significant other cried behind him. Story 3. I worked at a bar with a video poker machine. I watched a guy hit 1900 on the video poker machine. He came up, said he lost his job. This was a gift from God, etc. He bought a round for the bar and tipped me well. He went back to the machine. When I cashed out his ticket 45 minutes later, it was for 37 bucks. Story 4. I'm a live casino blackjack dealer and once had a guy tell me that he sold his house and moved in with a friend in hopes that he will be able to buy a mansion after the night of gambling. Had to report the guy. He lost all his money. Story 5. I was dealing blackjack in the high limit room. Table had a minimum $1,000 bet and a game called Lucky Ladies where you placed a side bet with a $25 minimum. The objective was to get 2 Queen of Hearts dealt to your hand and you'd win a jackpot in the hundreds of thousands. When I arrived, a player had been playing both blackjack and Lucky Ladies all night. He was down quite a few $100,000 and was looking to get it back. He was down to his last $25 chip and he looked at me square in the face. He said, "Nah, you're not lucky," as a dealer for him. He pulled back his side bet while I did a table sweep to pull out the cards. Out came 2 Queen of Hearts on his spot. He slammed the table so hard it got everyone's attention. He said, "I'm glad there's a bridge by this casino." I was crushed dealing it to him. Story 6. 3 a.m. We are doing a shift change and the casino is dying down. There is one guy left on my friend's blackjack table. He has about $300 in front of him, playing $50 a hand. I go to take my fellow pit boss off for a break. He tells me that the guy is down about $1,600. He's been here since like 8 p.m. Then out of nowhere, a lady walks up from behind him and downright slaps him across the face from behind. He turns around and says nothing, turns back and continues to play. By this time we are wondering if we should call security. Apparently it's his wife and he hasn't been home in 2 days. She knew he was here because he drained their bank account. All this is being aired very loudly by his wife, right in front of the entire casino. She is now crying, very loudly. We now have my shift boss there, 2 security guards. We are all watching in case it escalates. Then she says, fine. If you want to bet it all, bet it all. As she reaches in her purse and pulls out an 8x10 family picture and places it in the bet box. We are all like, OMFG, did she just do that? Go ahead, bet it all, because we have nothing left because of you. Screaming, as she walks out the casino. The entire place is dead silent. We are all like, WTF. Dude is now crying with his head down. Dealer is like, WTF. Everyone is stone cold quiet. Dude gets up, grabs his last $200 in chips, grabs the photo and walks out. Worst experience ever. Then my pit boss buddy says, I would have booked that bet and started to deal the hand. Frick. We laughed and lived on. Editor's comment, some pit bosses and dealers are straight asshole vultures. Story 7. Not a dealer, but I was at a casino in Ontario haunting a blackjack table here and there. My friends were teaching me the ropes and I was doing alright. Anyways, walking in I saw a guy max out about 12 credit cards. He probably had a bit over 10K on hand. He looked decrepit and desperate. Between my table hopping I see him settle at a roulette table playing varying odds of numbers over a 30-minute time period. Walking by one final time I literally saw him put his last few dollars down and completely tank. The look on his face was, I've gambled away my entire life. He was wearing a wedding ring. Story 8. In Melbourne we get a lot of Chinese businessmen because they have very strict gambling laws over there. My friend worked at the high rollers table and some guy lost $28 million on a single hand. Yeah, you read that right. He lost another million on the next hand before he decided to call it a day. Story 9. A few things. Holy hell. Forgot about the lady who crap herself because she thought she had a hot shoe. Finally got off her seat and left a trail as she was being escorted to the restroom and then out of the casino. Watching a regular, frequent player get sick and slowly begin to deteriorate until one day they stop showing up. A couple that one day shows up without their spouse, significant other because they've passed. Someone you know is a parent who is always there during the holidays, sad because they aren't with their kids, or sad because their kids don't bother with them. This list could go on and on. There's plenty of good to go with the bad. Story 10. Not a dealer, security guard at a casino. Worked at one before it got closed and now work at another. Been doing casino security just a couple years now. This story is from the casino I used to work at, not my current one. There was a guy named Alan that was a high roller who came in at least 3 times a week. Some weeks I would even see him every day I worked that week. Anyways, he was a cool dude, always tipped the dealers and guards who helped him out. But he was a coke fiend. He was by no means handicapped, mid-30 feet as able-bodied, yet was always riding a scooter around and whistling at girls and yelling and damn near running people over. Well, the night we had to evict him permanently was kind of a sad night for me because I liked Alan. He made work funny and interesting and he never hurt anybody. The night he got kicked out he was at a blackjack table and he hit blackjack on a fairly large bet and the cocaine just took over. He got up, took his shirt off, was rubbing his nips and whistling loud enough for anybody within a mile radius to hear him. Me and a few other guards approached him to calm him down, but he got on his motor scooter and took off trying to slow us down by knocking over signs and whatnot. He took off into his hotel room and refused to open the door. We had to call the police and even then he refused to open the door for them, and asked them to come back after he'd taken a nap. I miss Alan. Story 10. Not a dealer. I was playing blackjack at the LV Hilton and it was time to shuffle. I left my money with a white female dealer named Donna while I went to the bathroom. While I was gone, there was a dealer change, and now there was a black female dealer named Donna shuffling the cards. I couldn't help myself and said, Donna, what happened? She just looked at me, howled, and said, I turned black. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more crazy stories.